Good morning, Midnight's Edge fans. We're here to tell you that we have so much more to offer you now at our Mixed Tees store. Not just t-shirts and hoodies, but we do have plenty of those, and new designs for that matter. You can also get mugs, and of course our brand new limited Amber Turds stained blanket. That's right, just for your bed or wherever you need it. So head on over to Mixed Tees now and get all your apparel and goodies from Midnight's Edge.
Get up, wake up, this is your final warning. It's time for Midnight's Edge in the morning. The gang is ready to go and it's time for the show. It's time for Midnight's Edge in the morning.
Good morning, campers. It is Monday. It is time for the show. We've got the boss man, Andre, here. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Greetings, everyone. It's another week in the final few days of the month of April. Time flies.
Indeed. And we also have Chris joining us. How you doing, Chris? Which I don't think he can hear us still. Are you there,
Well,
Chris?
That means that he's doing a little
Oh,
bit
there's got
stressed
headphones
right
on now. Are you there, Chris? Can we read you? No, sounds like he's plugging in the guitar.
I hear you now.
Oh, now you hear us. Okay.
now. Hey, perfect. Well, then you are good
Sounds
and we
good.
are good too. All
All
tech
right.
issues appear to be solved.
We also have Scribelight with us this morning. How you doing?
Doing all right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday.
And we have Culture Casino as well. How you doing, Culture?
I'm fantastic. It's a beautiful day. Don't let it get away.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
So welcome to the program. It is Monday, and greetings out there. We've got some super chats to start things off. We got Ruby Who gifted a membership. Thank you for that, Ruby Who. Dr. Long Dongler sending in a pound 99 with a thumbs up to remind you to hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Pound it, in fact. Hyperguyver 2 says with $5 late and 25% different. Classic George Lucas era Star Wars is the only Star Wars that's profitable, and this week prove it. Well, pretty much. Patrick Robinson says, Andre, you and both, Tom, you and Andre are both said you grew up on Sega. How do you feel about Outrun movie being made by Michael Bay and Sydney Sweeney? Well, it's funny you asked that, Patrick. We did a video on that nobody watched.
Yeah.
I honestly don't really care, but I don't know if Andre has more. So I've not really been a big racing.
I think that, yeah, but here's actually the thing. Outrun isn't a racing game. Many people think that, and that's what
It's
has
that
me
one
worried.
game. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a lifestyle game. And what has me worried is that Michael Bay is going to turn it into a racing game. Because it's being produced by Platinum Dunes, which is Platinum Dunes, not Dooms. But of course, it may as well be called that because that's true. But anyway, it's produced then by Platinum Dunes, which is something of a little bit of a red flag, and it's produced by Michael Bay and Sydney Sweeney. Now, if it was starring Sydney Sweeney as hot chick in the car that you're driving, that'd be pretty swell. But so far, there's no reports that she's actually in the movie. She's just producing it alongside Michael Bay. We don't really know anything else. We know the writer, who has a little bit of a mixed background, very little that lends itself to either racing or a lifestyle thing. So I'm hoping the movie will be good. Michael Bay has shown in the past that he can do more than one thing. But he's not a director that screams Outrun to me. He's a director that screams racing to me, but that means you're fundamentally off on the wrong foot. I mean, there's many, many different ways to do an outrun.
It looks like a race car
movie.
driving game
Yeah.
to me.
It looks exactly. It looks like it. It
Describes it that way in Wikipedia. So I'm confused as fuck. This is the same game I thought I was talking about. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't see the game you're talking about in this game, I guess.
Fine.
To me, it's you put a quarter in it, you drive, and then you either win or you lose. Like, I don't see any other part of the game. Sorry, Andre. You're making this way deeper than it is. I'm sorry.
Fine, but
sequels to this game, I don't know.
But I'm telling you, this is the secret towards cracking this movie and making it stand out from literally every other racing movie ever made. And the fact that they're hiring Michael Bay for it says to me that they do not get that distinction, and that makes me much less optimistic for the movie right away. But I hope for the best. It may not be the movie I want, but I hope it's going to be a fun movie, and I hope they'll be able to keep the budget in check, so it'll be a good experience.
It's not necessarily racing, classic racing. You are trying to beat a timer. But you've got your girlfriend in the car with you. You can change the radio station. You're going through all these different
landscapes and stuff.
Yeah, it's more that than you're not actually racing other opponents and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the deadline and the all of that stuff, that's just there because it's made for the arcades. They have to make you put in more money one way or the other, making stuff happen. But it's supposed to be like a lifestyle. You're supposed to live the experience of driving, looking at the amazing landscapes, listening to the kick-ass sweet music with a hot chick next to you. That's what the game is really about.
That's it. Yeah. And is it a Lamborghini or a Ferrari? It's a convertible.
It's a Ferrari originally, and then they lost the license.
Yep. Love
so
that
it's
game.
been like retroactively changed in later iterations.
It's too bad.
But the original, that's what it's about. And of course, later sequels and stuff, that was pure racing. But there's a ton of other racing games, and it's all better. And they're all better than Outrun when it comes to racing. But Outrun is unique when it's just like the driving for the experience of it.
Yeah.
Certainly for the time. Yeah. And to me, that's the secret to cracking that movie. And hiring Michael Bay or Michael Bay doing it tells me that they don't get it, that they think it's a racing movie, and that's why it'll fail.
And not having Sydney Sweeney riding shotgun.
Well, that may still happen. We don't know. I mean, that's the thing with Michael Bay.
Unless she's the driver.
Yeah, that's the thing with Michael Bay, though. With him, there's definitely going to be hot chicks. So I'm not so worried about that aspect of it.
Well, let's see what happens. We're indifferent at this point.
Yeah. Then we got let's see here. Dark King, who says Pedro Pascal to star in Latino Slant, the movie.
Oh,
I wouldn't be surprised.
He'd be dream casting, wouldn't he?
Probably. All right. So with that, let's get out of that and get into the box office news because we've got some to talk about. That's for sure.
Okay.
It's kind of even the main topic of the day, which is not a bad thing considering. The box office did pretty well this weekend, but it didn't quite go the way most people thought it would. So what's going on, Culture? What happened?
Well, I think that what we're seeing is a strange phenomenon that we should be seeing more frequently. Movies that aren't sequels are showing up in a big way. The only exception to this is of a relatively small film, The Accountant 2. We also noticed something very interesting this weekend, and it's that the Revenge of the Sith, which was an old Star Wars movie, did incredibly well. Look at this number. Over 25 million. Am I reading that right? Is somebody else want to confirm that I'm actually reading
the right thing? Did you say billion or million?
Million,
yes. Billion.
Yeah, 25 billion would be amazing. I'd love that.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think Disney would love that. But this is just free money. If you take a look at it.
It's either 25 million or 25,000, and the 3 zeros towards the end there tells me it's the former.
They oopsied that. Well, it wasn't in that very many theaters. 2,700 theaters. It earned. Look at how much it earned. Per theater average was over 9,000. That's crazy.
Over 9,000. Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
Ball Z.
Level 9,000. So I can't do that right now. But anyway, to me, this is fascinating because this just tells you that it's not that people don't want Star Wars; they want good Star Wars, and unfortunately, good Star Wars is in the past. And again, these aren't even the originals. I mean, Revenge of the Sith. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
This is available on Disney Plus too right now.
It is, yeah. You
Yeah.
could go
Right.
and check out Disney Minus, or you could go to your DVD or Blu-ray collection and watch it. But what I find interesting about it is that it did this good in the theater, and Disney's going to collect, their cut of this money, and they'll maybe realize that they're going to have to appeal to the men again. The men are going to drive that movie. But look, the men are definitely driving the audience for Sinners as well, which was, again, number one with the lowest drop we've had this year at 5%. 5% from last weekend. So it's 2 weekends in, earned another 45 million. Of course, there really wasn't a lot of competition outside of The Accountant too. But its all total gross now is 123 million. There is a chance that this movie could go into profitability, when last weekend I thought that was unlikely. So congratulations for it, adding not only 39 theaters, but also having a per screen average of $13,600. That's amazing. So good for them. Again, an R-rated movie. So another reason why I'm surprised it's performing so well. Like I said, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, and then the newcomer and an Amazon MGM release at that, The Accountant 2, which I personally saw and did a review for. 24.4 million. Not really what we were hoping for if you're a fan of the product, but 6,700 per screen average. Not bad. You all notice something, though? None of these are in 4,000 plus screens. You know what I
That
mean?
is significant, yeah, because usually a really wide release is in more than 4,000 theaters. I mean, I'm sure that Thunderbolts, which is coming out this week, is probably going to be in more than 4,000 theaters, don't you think?
I can almost guarantee it. In fact, as I look at this, I'm amazed at how many theaters each of these in the top 7 anyway are in 3,000 plus theaters, which means they just kind of spread it around.
And if we go 10 year back in time, there were no more than 3,000 something theaters. So so this would have been as wide a release as anything could have been around the time of, say, Guardians of the Galaxy. And they all have it.
Yeah, it's and again, I mean, with ticket prices and artificial inflation tied into all of these numbers, this would look like, I think, Andre, you were spot on. This would look like a weekend from back then, 10 years ago. Everybody had been like, "Oh my gosh, do you see how much that movie did?" Yeah. I still am amazed with Star Wars, but anyway, so third place for The Accountant. Not the best start behind Star Wars, but hey, not a lot of people know about that franchise.
It's a bit of a different animal tube, though, because it's technically an Amazon MGM film. So
yeah, but they're not only talking about this one, Tom, but they're actually talking about a sequel to it, Accountant 3, which
tells me that chances are it did exactly what Amazon was expecting it to do.
Yeah, and that means Anna Kendrick will return in that one. The second film was more about the brothers. It was very good. Minecraft, not a sequel. If you guys notice, the only thing here that's a sequel is Accountant, and that's just a kind of a different little monster. But obviously, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith was a sequel, but it's just surprising that in a re-release of a film that was celebrating its how many years now, Tom?
20th.
Yeah. That it still generated an opening weekend number of $25 million. I'm still staggered.
Second place. Actually, it's more money than the movies that came in place 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
But so did The Accountant too. It beat all those by that amount.
Yeah, well, Accountant 2 is, like I said, that's a unique property. But then we get to Minecraft, and it's still hanging in the 20s.
Do you think The Accountant 1 being released 6 years ago kind of maybe...
Is it 6 or 8 years?
Maybe 8.
Yeah.
My gosh, yeah, you're right. So
2016.
Yeah. Almost 9 years.
Yeah.
So I just watched it for the first time last week.
What'd you think?
Really?
Mikey? Yeah.
Okay.
It's so good. Anyway.
It's good. It has a little bit of woke issue to it, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, they don't pretend like Anna Kendrick can throw down, though, which is good.
No, what it is basically the J.K. Simmons is being replaced by a very diverse Whammons in the movie. That's probably the only diverse part.
Yeah. Very light.
I don't know. I was
Or,
about
I mean,
to praise Daniela Pineda because that's the first time I've ever thought that she was a good actress. I think she did a great job.
Is she in the first one? I don't. Is that who that
No,
was?
she's not in it at all.
All right, that's not what I'm fucking talking about then. I'm talking about the first movie where the whole movie, the entire plot of the movie is about diversity hire, figuring out who the accountant is so she can take over for J.K. Simmons. Spoilers. That's the whole movie.
Oh, you're talking about
the first
she's-
movie.
She's in this movie. She's in this
goody.
movie. Yeah, she gets her butt kicked. She gets stabbed.
Yeah, to be fair, there is some violence in the movie too.
Oh,
Tom. It's
yeah,
not
no,
just
some?
about, it's
Some?
not just about human resources. Okay,
Was it? Look, I would say as far as the woke goes, it was pretty toned down in the sequel. But regardless, the third
Don't
one.
get me wrong, it's not a big deal in the first movie. That's about it. But I noticed it creeping in, considering it was 2016. That was my point.
I see what you're
Yep.
saying. Okay,
you're a
fair enough.
historian, sir. Thank you.
But in this movie, in the second film, like I said, I really enjoyed Daniela Pineda, which I didn't think I would ever enjoy her after what she did to Cowboy Bebop or any of the other, body display films that she was in. But regardless,
She didn't talk about her crevices this time.
no, there were no crevices involved. In this
She's
movie.
dead to me.
She didn't want to lose some tissues someplace. Anyway, Minecraft's still doing well. Until Dawn, brand new movie, opened up, Sony Pictures, 3,000 screens. Not a great open, Bob. 8 million, not spectacular. You think that's influenced by the number of people that went to go see Sinners again?
Probably. If those are your horror offerings, that's probably about it. Yeah, and the hype for Sinners is pretty high.
This weekend, the reason you got such a boost for Sinners is no God-fearing Christian was going to go see a movie called Sinners over Easter weekend, so they waited till this past weekend to go see it.
I love how the audience is losing it right now. Look, it's okay to like The Accountant, but if you try and pretend that the movie is anything more than J.K. Simmons stepping down so a DEI hire could take over, then I got a news flash for you. Rewatch the movie you haven't watched in 8 years. Because I saw it for the first fucking time with fresh eyes last week, and that's exactly what the whole movie is. Is it fun? Is it got all these other good parts to it? Abso-fucking-lutely. But when you get to the end of the movie, that is the plot. There is no other real plot to the movie because the whole plot is he's setting up this chick to figure it out, and if she can figure out who the accountant is, she gets to take over his job. Guess what the end of the movie is? She figures out who the accountant is and gets to take over his job. That's it.
Okay.
And at no point do we really see that she's qualified other than she figures out who the accountant is. But you know what? Anybody can figure out who the accountant is. He leaves a fucking trail of bodies like you wouldn't believe. Worse than Jason fucking Voorhees.
That's true. But what's also great, Tom, is that in this movie, she felt like she didn't actually deserve the seat.
Fair.
Remember? Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember. I haven't seen this fucking film yet, so I don't know.
You got to go see it because you will immediately go, oh, somebody had self-realization. But anyway, Until Dawn, 8 million. King of Kings still in theaters, still pulling in money. Pulled in 4 million in 3,175 theaters after losing a chunk of theaters and dropping 76%. 54 million so far. That's pretty good, guys. That's pretty good for a faith-based film. Yeah.
It's like what, 3 times its budget?
It's at least. I'm trying to remember what the budget was. It was
15
cheap.
or 15 or 18 is the two numbers.
I think you're right. I think 15's right, and it's cheap. Cheap. The Amateur is still hanging in there. 3,800.
A remake, but most people don't remember the original, so I don't know if you can really count that.
Yeah, true. But 3,800,000, almost at 3,800. That'd have been crazy. But 33 million so far. You need to make more money than this, but 20th Century is competing with itself right now if they put Star Wars up against it. And then The Legend of Ochi, 1.4 million. That grew. I was wondering why it had such a poor opening because it was in almost no theaters.
What is that? Is that an anime or what is it?
It's an A24 film.
Oh, it's an A24 film.
It's a fantasy live action kind of thing.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. Regardless, the poster was a little less than enthralling, but that's a different conversation. Anyway, so
it's a movie that nobody will see, but everybody will praise.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it added it. Okay, so it didn't open very wide. It opened, I think, in only 3 or 4 theaters. So it jumped up substantially in earnings because it added itself to 1,149 theaters.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, well, it didn't do well. It made
Well,
like
6 says it's
100,000.
based on an original story, so that's cool.
Yeah. Warfare, I skipped over because I really am not an Alex
I've never
Garland
seen it.
fan anymore.
People said it was pretty good. So.
Yeah, everybody says it, and I'm going to go see it because I told Polly I would. So that's one of 3 movies I have to see.
Well, before you go down too much farther there, I was going to say there it is. Stop right there. There's couple things that stand out to me this week. You got another re-release that's doing very, very well, and that's Pink Floyd.
Yep.
Which surprised the hell out of me because I didn't even know it was playing in that many theaters, let alone going to make that much money.
654 theaters, yeah.
And then you can scroll IMAX? There's an IMAX release for that. Yeah, because I was griping because they did a new 4K scan and they opened up the mat so they could put it in IMAX because it used to be in cropped off 185.
Yeah.
Oh, they did full frame.
Yeah, so they did it, but they're only releasing it in standard Blu-ray with Dolby Atmos instead of doing a 4K. Like, what is the point?
Do they still do that where they
That's
do
weird.
sort of the cheaper release and then later on they do?
Sometimes it depends. Now,
Pink Floyd, though, they usually lead with at least with their albums and CDs, they used to lead with sort of a nice release.
yeah, all of them have gotten decent releases except for The Wall got kind of short shafted on the 5.1 or Atmos mix, but other than that, their albums have all gotten pretty good releases. Now they're getting to the movies, and Pompeii being their most probably popular one as far as besides The Wall itself.
Hey, Snow White is still alive and kicking.
What I was going to get to is that somewhere down the list, they claim that it's tied at number 10. In what fucking world does that work? I don't know, because everything underneath Pink Floyd made less than $1 million. So, And
they stopped counting after 10.
that's what I'm saying. So when did that happen?
Recently.
Because bullshit. Because 1, 2, 3, 4. So Disney Snow White is 16.
Yeah.
If I'm counting this right?
Yeah.
10, 11, 12. Okay, yeah.
15.
It's 15. Okay.
Yep.
15.
Come on, guys.
It's doing great. Come on now. It's got
A
85 million.
re-release of a Focus Features adaptation of Pride and Prejudice from 10 years ago? Or 15 or 20? It's whatever the anniversary is of it.
Right.
It's not even the one that you probably remember. But the one that came out that many years ago is doing better than Snow White.
Well, that caused me to ask
Come
a
on,
question
Tom,
to you guys. Between that and Revenge of the Sith, I got a question. With as giant libraries as the studios have at this point of movies that are provably popular,
Yep.
do we need as many new movies going to theaters anymore, or is there more profit to be sought in just some re-releases of things that people already love and would love to see in the theater for the first time?
It's funny you asked that, Scribe, because I've said it many a times how that used to be the way things worked, right? Like, because the studios release like 2 or 3 times as many movies as they used to back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of it was home video, and that also kind of changed movies being re-released in theaters. In fact, it got to a point where, other than the random release of E.T. and Wizard of Oz when we were kids, I don't remember a huge re-release until the special edition in 1997. And monetarily, I believe this actually beat that opening, which was for the longest time the highest opening for a re-release ever.
I'm just wondering if the theater, if the actual movie theater isn't or shouldn't become a more prestige place for established films and the things the studios really want to take a roll on the dice of for extra money on the box office with, tentpole stuff and everything else just goes to streaming or something. Because is it viable to maintain movie theaters if people aren't going to them as much? But when you have stuff from like 20 years ago that's doing better than things that came out last week, doesn't make sense anymore to keep putting everything out in the theaters?
Well, we've kind of got ourselves back around to a place where we were before home video. And this is the funny thing, and this is where I get so many questions about this. Believe it or not, most people don't have a DVD player in their house, or they don't even realize that their Xbox or their PS3 or their PS4 or their PS5 can play discs. Because I've tried to gift discs to people now. I've never used to have this problem. I've gotten to where now almost 9 times out of 10, everybody's like, oh, I don't know how to play it. Because they don't have anything physical at their house to play it on anymore. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of these re-releases are doing so well. Sure, you could, if you have Disney Plus, you could watch, Revenge of the Sith. But you also have the added, with Star Wars, you have the added experience of seeing it on a big screen. Don't get me wrong, right? That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to work for every movie. But as we've noticed this year, we've had a lot of re-releases doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
And The Wiz is getting a re-release. Because there's a lot of these kids that have never seen these movies before. And to be able to experience them on the big screen is a big deal. Or you have people like our age who never got to experience them on the big screen.
Right.
So there's that aspect to it. Not only that, what choice do you have when four or five of the other choices out there are crap?
Mm-hmm.
At least this is one that is going to be a sure thing. So there's all those things kind of mixed up in one. And, before home video and before, HBO was a common thing in every household, most people just kind of waited around for a movie to show back up in theaters or on TV. Like that was their two choices before. And that's kind of where we're at again. Streaming services have replaced TV, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Speaking
that you
of
say
replacing,
that, Tom.
we got Paul Chato here.
Paul.
And anyway, you were about to say, Chris.
Well, I was going to say, it's interesting that you mentioned, both you and Scribe were talking about these re-releases and commenting on the Star Wars. You mentioned a couple of movies like The Wizard of Oz, but even the first Star Wars movie was re-released the following summer in July 78. And it earned $10 million that weekend and went on to make another $43 million that summer. I just feel like, could you imagine if maybe the theaters did some sort of, I know there's going to be some groans in the chat, but what if they re-released all of the Marvel cinematic, Iron Man back in theaters or something like that, where they sort of went through. I bet they would make more money re-releasing those in theaters than what Thunderbolts is. Well, maybe.
Well, it's kind of how Disney used to function, right?
Yes,
like they didn't
exactly.
release an animated movie every year.
That's right. And they would keep even when they did the video releases, they would take them out of rotation for a while to make.
In fact, there was the 7 famous titles that only got limited releases. And then they grew into a few more once Little Mermaid and other ones were added to that list.
Yep.
But that's exactly how they function. And it was this false scarcity that they would create out of the idea of, if you don't go get Bambi right now, your kid's gonna never fucking love you.
and they do the exact opposite now. They have Disney Plus streaming. It's all there. Plus,
well, that's what I've said. It destroyed the Disney vault, because now instead of Little Mermaid being worth a shit, it's sitting right next to Little Mermaid 2, Little Mermaid 3, and the TV show, and it's worth just as and the new live action, and it's worth just as much as those now, instead of being worth a little bit more. Because now if you had all the other things on there besides the original Little Mermaid, guess what that does? That creates a demand. But what I'm just saying doesn't really matter, because Revenge of the Sith just proved my whole point wrong, because you can fire up Disney Plus right now and watch Revenge of the Sith.
Well,
it's in theaters,
I don't think it proves it wrong. I think what it
proves that people will go see it. But
I think the cinema experience is what people want, and they know they can count on Revenge of the Sith to give them that cinematic experience that they want, that they crave. They don't trust the shrouds. They don't trust Woman in the Yard. They don't even, and they've already, The Friend and some of these other movies that have come out. I think a movie like it tells me that people want to see movies that are special to them in the cinemas, especially if they never have seen them before. And if this is celebrating its 20th anniversary, there's a chance there was an audience there that had never seen it in cinemas. Just like Wizard of Oz.
Well, there was definitely
back to that.
Yeah, there was definitely some sort of desire there, which goes to show that Star Wars, regardless of how dead the Star Wars, the Disney version may be,
right,
Star Wars itself still has some life in it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Paul Chato.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Oh, you're
Paul.
muted. I hope you voted today. I know you're not feeling great. I hope you voted.
Voted a week ago.
Oh, good for you.
So
It's awesome to get stuff like that out of the way early.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I wasn't feeling well this morning, so I'm still kind of weird. But I thought I'd join you guys and try not to vomit on my keyboard.
We're the better because you've joined us, sir.
I mean, if you vomited on your keyboard, the ratings would go up. So.
On your show, yes.
Oh. Thanks, Paul. Jeez. Oh. I'm going to need some aloe for that burn. Thanks.
That was cruel. I'm sorry, but it's Monday.
It looks like if Snow White only earned $500,000 this weekend, it needs to be in theaters at least another 3 months to hit 200 million globally. Am I reading that right? I mean,
it's never going to touch it. It can pretend all day long. So where are we at here, Culture? Because this is probably the best place to wrap up the box office. Actually, that's a good question. At what point do they stop actually reporting Snow White and they pull this bitch and they just say the end? Let's call it a day with this thing at this point, because that's kind of where they're at. I would say.
I think
this is desperation.
Another 2 years.
I think they missed their window, Tom. I think they should have.
I got it. I honestly think they realize that nobody really gives a shit, or they don't even give a shit.
I mean,
because at this point, you're right. They would have hidden the bad box office by now. They would have stopped reporting numbers.
They did manage to drag Captain Falcon across 200 million, I think, right?
They did.
But see, they've been lucky in the past with things like that, with the recent Lion King and some other movies where they've managed to somehow, some way, get a fucking ballot dump at 3 a.m. from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's exactly
this is not happening from Snow White. This ain't happening for Snow White.
Well, Disney called the guy in North Carolina and just wanted 11,000 more votes.
Yeah.
Right. Don't overdo it. They'll realize we're using dead names.
Speaking of which, in order to get away from the conversation around leader selection that they're having in Canada and elsewhere, they're only 4 million away from getting it over 200 million, guys, globally. So you gotta understand where they're coming from.
Do you think they care?
Yes. They're gonna lose over $300 million on Snow White.
No. But I mean, is those few coins going to matter? Are they now just going for pride?
Pride goeth before the fall, Paul. But regardless, no, I think they're going to try to eke whatever they can out of this movie. This is a giant sucking sound that you've heard about since the 1980s elections. But anyway, overall, the weekend was not stellar, but not bad. $144 million.
The biggest weekend since last year in this period, I heard. So it's
just priming the pump for Thunderbolts.
Or let me rephrase that. It did better than last year in this period. That's what I meant to say.
I got my Thunderbolts ticket.
I think
I don't.
I think Disney could maybe re-release Snow White in theaters, like the Hollywood baby version where the prince is completely cut out.
No.
I like
the alternate cut of this movie. You mean?
I'm just saying maybe to milk that last 5 million.
Maybe you got a point. Sorry, Culture. I say there actually might be something to that, because there's always people demanding like the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever and stuff,
right?
And all these other I still want to see the Lord Miller version of Solo.
Oh,
me too.
Gosh, at least the script.
Like that's the only way I want to see that movie, just to see how different it was.
Yeah.
But I wonder if there isn't a market for that, to do kind of these extended cuts and recuts, and that's what I feel like's missing from this re-release thing, because that was what made the special editions kind of special, for lack of a better term. Right. Regardless of how I feel about the changes now, at the time when we still had the other versions available, it was really cool to see all these new special effects and new additions to Star Wars in a film you've seen 1,000,000 times. So I would love to see the extended version or alternate versions of some of these movies. Now,
Warner Brothers did that. They re-released the Lord of the Rings trilogy, those extended editions.
Did they put those in theaters actually that way?
Last year,
they have.
Yeah, Fathom.
Oh, cool.
Did. Yeah.
Yeah, see, Fathom's always doing stuff, which is fine, and Fathom has a decent reach. And there's times where Fathom's events will pop up surprisingly in the top 5 or 10. So that's not. Again, I agree with you guys that that they should be paying attention to this. And the studios should be seeing this as, look, we're underselling our classic films here as far as what they could be possibly worth.
Or, what we would be interested in. That's the problem. I mean, re-releasing Logan's Run, I'm all over that. Or if they re-release, as they've done in the past, Close Encounters. I mean, you do a restoration of that film and put it on, put it on the big screen again. I think you're going to get freak shows like me showing up to watch it.
Now, imagine a re-release of Die Hard at Christmas time.
You
don't make $1 zillion. $1 zillion that would make.
You don't think a 3-hour cut of the Acolyte in cinematic release would work?
No.
Hopefully they won't learn that.
No, and that's
right?
that's the thing is the studios need to realize we need to start separating our TV shows from our fucking movies, because that's the problem. And that brings us to the Thunderbolts, and I think that's going to be the big problem for this movie going forward. Is you have movies now that look like the TV shows and the TV shows that look like the movies, and I don't think the audience cares anymore. I think they have checked out, and I think you're right. To go back to your initial point, if they had just backed off on Marvel and took the time now to kind of reevaluate things and really kind of take a break and figure this whole thing out, I agree with you. They should have re-released a bunch of the original Marvel movies for their anniversaries in theaters.
Yep.
Maybe even extended cuts for some of these, because there are famous extended
you're
cuts
right.
of some of these.
Yep. And throw those Marvel one-shots that they started out doing at the beginning, at the end of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great.
For an anniversary deal, I don't see that as a bad idea. I would get behind that as a better idea than trying to continue to go down this route. I would have canceled the fucking Thunderbolts and re-released the original Iron Man or the original Captain
Canceled
America.
everything. Since,
Yes, go ahead,
since
Andre. You've been
COVID.
quiet for a while. I was just going to ask. I want to hear your opinion on all this stuff before we wrap it up.
Yeah, well, basically, just to go with Marvel, from everything I have heard, Thunderbolts is the best movie they have coming for a very, very long time. And it's not that great either. I mean, it's from everything I've heard, it's Black Widow 2.
I
Black
mean,
Widow
by the-
1 wasn't that great. And who cares? They should have just scrapped everything. But in
Yeah.
terms of the box office, I just have to say that the most significant thing about the box office to me is that we now have a Star Wars movie that's doing really, really well, directly juxtaposed against a Star Wars series that cost every bit as much as that movie to make, probably much, much more when adjusted for inflation. And it's a complete bomb on Disney+. I'm talking about Andor Season 2. These two are literally out at the same time. The audiences are flocking towards one and completely ignoring the other. That's George Lucas versus Disney for you right there.
Oh, good point. It is from the same era.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you guys were just talking about, like the difference in era. So you have a re-release versus something current. A re-release, and here's the funny thing. It's a re-release of a movie that wasn't all that well received when it came out. But here's something that many don't really figure out. The people who are flocking to see this movie right now are the young kids, or the people who were young kids at the time when it was
Right.
released. The ones who loved it. So of course, they're going to love it much, much more. So there
Yeah.
you kind of like have nostalgia kicking in. But who's going to appreciate Andor? Because then you are limited to the small pool of people who actually first bothered seeing it in the first place. That's not many. Who liked it? That may be most. But still, you're dealing with a very small pool. And then who's going to come back for Season 2? That's a very, very small pool. And a huge contrast.
It's
to
more of
what
a
you have going
Deadpool.
on. Pretty much, yeah. Huge contrast to what you have going on with a re-release, because that shouldn't be possible for a re-release to make this kind of money. And it really is a sad indictment on the entirety of the entertainment industry today. I mean, like behind the scenes, I sent Paul a Norwegian movie from like 13 years ago, and it's a movie I do not think could have been made today.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the one about the two white dudes playing white chicks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For any Norwegians who, because no one else will ever have heard this, but I sent Paul a copy of Tina and Bettina the movie. So yeah, Norwegians delight.
Yeah, we had an English dub of it.
You did? Really? That exists?
Yeah, it came
Hook
out.
me up, bro.
It came out a long time ago. I remember when the movie came out in the rep cinemas here.
Damn, the English dub of that would be interesting.
Yeah, you can say you have to get me that because I hate watching
I don't
movies with
have
subtitles.
it. So my concern about the re-release movie thing is I'm wondering how many cinematic experiences they're making now. Obviously, I'd put Oppenheimer up there as a cinematic experience. Maybe even Barbie.
Sinners is kind of taking that.
It's a movie. There's things that are movies, and there are things that you see in the cinema that clearly aren't. Even cheap movies like Dawn of the Dead feel like movies. And where I'm going with this is that I'm concerned we might be heading towards the Spotify issue, where 10% of or approximately 10% of what people are listening to on Spotify is just the new music that's being made. And I think something ridiculous like 60 to 70% on Spotify was all my old shit from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
It's that way for sales too, Paul. And it's because I think a large part of
what? Sales of what?
Classic rock and classic music.
Yeah,
like you'll look at the charts, it's like
let me
Prince and Michael Jackson and stuff. Yeah.
My point is that we could get to the point where cinemas are going to dredge up things like, let's say, The Conversation with the guy who just died,
Gene Hackman,
which is actually a much more interesting movie than almost anything anyone's making right now. And almost nothing happened. That's a Coppola film, I believe.
Yeah, it's all right. I just saw it for the first time not long ago. It's different.
It's different, but it's still, I would call it a movie. Hairspray is a movie. They're just not making movies right now. They're making
Martin Scorsese,
which isn't really much of a movie.
But you're right.
My concern is that the cinemas, to survive, might just go into the vault and end up doing what Spotify is doing, and just bring out everything that's old, pushing anything, that's new off to the side. Because I think if someone came, like I keep talking about the French Connection, if they released the French Connection in the cinemas, I would kill.
Yeah, and I think this might be before Paul
like a Gene Hackman legacy run.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier. Is just like with the Revenge of the Sith, Pride and Prejudice, you've got a whole bank of movies that the studios have possession of that it would take them comparatively nothing to put back in the theaters, and you already have a built-in fan base of either people who remember those movies, want to take their kids to see those movies, or, like Paul says, are cinematic experiences that really only belong in theaters. So does it make more sense to turn the theaters into a prestige market for things, both old and only new when they deserve it, and then everything else goes on streaming or whatever else? Because I don't know if the theater industry can survive much more of these slop periods of like garbage going out that might as well be on streaming services.
They're better off putting up the Maltese Falcon.
To a point, you're right. Yeah, but the other problem is most re-releases don't play like this.
That's right.
This is an abnormal thing, and not only that, they didn't really do much advertising. Like that's the thing that has me the most surprised. Is it wasn't like it was broadly advertised. Yes, we knew it was coming out. A few people were talking about it. Buzz was about. They talked about it at Star Wars Celebration, but it wasn't like the media blitz that was. Like, people forget how much money went into the media blitz for Star Wars special editions. They spent almost more money on the media blitz and remastering those movies than they spent on the original film to begin with. Right? We gotta keep that in perspective. There was the whole campaign of this, the three reasons theaters were born. Like that was what they used as the campaign to get people's butts in the seats to see those movies. And that was a rarity where nowadays a movie, you do a re-release, if it makes $2-3 million on a re-release, that's pretty goddamn good. Right.
Well, but isn't that just evidence that you don't need a big marketing campaign for something that has an established reputation? So if you bring out Die Hard at Christmas, if you take all the Indiana Jones movies and re-release them in 3-month intervals or something, they can make zillions off of this stuff without having to really do a lot of heavy lifting. You have to be selective, obviously. You can't put everything in there. But if you have an established classic and you do just like the minimal stuff, you'll find that niche audience that's curious enough to go, and you make a profit.
I think Disney would make a fortune if they released the Phantom Edit.
That's another thing, and that's kind of what I was talking about just before. I don't know if you stepped away, Paul, you were here. But like I said, if they could do some re-releases with some alternate cuts, I think that would also help get some butts in the seats. But at the same time, I feel like I agree with you. I think they should amortize some space and time with these classics and kind of build around them a little bit more than they are. And hopefully Revenge of the Sith shows them, and Pink Floyd this weekend shows them that there is interest in these classic films, that people would like to see them remastered and put back on the big screen. As Paul and I have said many times, Disney squandered their 100th anniversary. They squandered it. It's like, how are you not re-releasing at least 2 of the Disney classics every month in theaters, remastered for the first time in God knows how many years, right? Because they haven't done the Vault program in years now. Like, they just quit. And a lot of it was Disney Plus. I told you, it kind of killed the momentum of that. And instead of releasing Snow White and Bambi one month, Pinocchio and 101 Dalmatians the next month, and Cinderella and something else the next month down the line, leading up to the December, where they released the Wish movie, which nobody saw. But guess what? People probably would have saw Wish if all year long they were going to see Disney movies and they were seeing trailers for the next movies coming out, and it finally would always end with, and don't forget, this Christmas you get a brand new present from Disney. It's Wish.
Yep.
And
even do double headers. I mean, you could have done double headers. You could have really had a lot of fun. You mentioned the marketing for Revenge of the Sith. I saw one ad.
Yeah.
And it was that Hayden Christensen getting the popcorn with his Darth Vader drinking.
Which I think is AI. I'm not even sure if that's a real
thing. I know it's apparently him. I dropped the link in
okay.
private. Yeah. But they only ran that ad. That's the only mention of Revenge of the Sith on their social medias, on all Star Wars social channels. And and it's all packed with Andor. It's all packed with everything else, Star Wars Celebration and all that. One ad. Goofy ad too, nonetheless. I think you could probably.
It's only like 5 seconds long. It's not even really an ad.
Him. She just asked him, "What
one
movie
ticket, please?"
Well, which movie?
That's why I'm not so sure this is real. Because look at her. She looks fake as hell, and she sounds fake as hell.
Maybe she's AI. I won't.
That's
say
what I'm
she's
thinking.
Not. Okay.
She looks like an AI version of you, Tom.
Yes. It's weird.
But that's it.
But yeah.
That's all they did, and they made $25 million. So whoever the marketing genius was that did this.
Well, this is great.
It's great.
This is the kind of fun stuff that the people at Disney, I don't know if they ever really had any kind of hipsters there. Right. I do like the advertising for the Thunderbolts, though. I mean, I think they've done some interesting stuff. And if there's more people on board capable of that. So, for instance, if I was in charge of Disney for the 100th anniversary, I would have taken a handful of movies, including Snow White, and I would have just let the Muppet team unleash them on that and let them make a live action version of a handful of Disney movies in the Muppet style, and
that would be great.
One of them.
Yeah.
They've just let the Muppets languish.
Similar to the Christmas Carol, right? Yep. Just let them go at it. What absolute hilarity and fun that would be. But that gotta be kind of in sync with just having fun with your shit. But Disney's got a pickle up its ass and just is not capable of doing something like that. Wouldn't it have been fun to have a Muppet version of Snow White?
Yeah.
With all the jokes that they would do in it, right?
Yep.
Well, just consider the Muppet Christmas Carol, for instance, which I consider to be the definitive version of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. There are many different versions of it, even one with Patrick Stewart. But still, the one with Michael Caine and the Muppets, in my book, is the best one.
That's one of the closer adaptations. But the problem is Disney did beat that to death when they did Muppet Wizard of Oz, and then that didn't do very well, and because nobody's seen it. Like, you guys are going, what? They did it? Yeah, they did a Muppet Wizard of Oz.
I never heard of it.
Exactly my point. And that kind of killed that. And Disney has not known what to do with the Muppets since they bought them.
Nope. So they tried some identity politics, and that didn't work.
Yeah, that TV show was a wreck. And
anything that is attached to Lily Singh is a failure.
Bing.
Yeah. Lily Singh was involved with the Muppets?
Yeah.
Evidently.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, but anyhow, that being said, I think they would do.
It sounds like heresy, but true.
In fact, I think they did re-release Muppet Christmas Carol for the anniversary in theaters a couple of years back.
I hope they did.
That is one of their more popular ones.
And they could bring back the midnight movies, right? Maybe put Minecraft as your launch.
The theaters won't like that, but yeah, or at least the workers won't. Because I don't know if you guys know that. That's the whole reason why they quit doing the midnight premieres. Because the theater.
Oh, no.
Well, no, the theater owners and the theater workers were sick and tired of working until 3, 4 a.m. And sadly, I think it came to a point where somebody lost their life for working too late. And yeah,
Oh gosh.
but
Well, they just need to put
fell asleep at the wheel.
robots and AI.
Well, at
That's
this point,
all.
it's all automated anyway.
Yeah.
Like the guy at the freaking desk, I got a ticket here, and they go, yeah, you just scan it there. It's like, what the fuck are you here for then?
Right.
Like,
I'm here to sell you popcorn. Yeah.
no, he's not even that. He's just standing at the doorway to tell you to scan your thing. Like that's their job now. I'm like, what the hell is the point of you?
Honestly, often I have been thinking that, you know what CinemaCon really should be, since CinemaCon is for the exhibitors, it's for the cinemas. Really, CinemaCon shouldn't be about the movies. It should be about the candy. That's where you should have all of the new derivatives of candy coming, showing, look, here we have our brand new popcorn line, and look, here we have brand new chocolate. This is straight from Switzerland. It's a little bit pricey, but here we have an outlet that's from Mexico or something, a little bit cheaper. So here you have like different prices.
You know, that's not a bad idea.
That's
Andre.
what CinemaCon really should be, because that's where they make their money. Because it certainly isn't from the movies, and it definitely isn't from ushering you in and taking you to your place or cleaning up afterwards.
A lot of places are just inserting restaurants now. Right, like you can go to a theater and you'll have like a pizza place and a burger place and a bar and all this stuff all inside the theater now.
Yeah, we've had that.
Yeah, so like that's kind of where that's not a bad idea though. But like, yeah, but no. Anyhow, let's see what you guys are talking about out there. Dark King says forecast for Minecraft's final box office total. That's a good question. It hit over 800 million. So where do you guys think this thing's going to settle? I'm not totally sure it's still going to make as much as Mario did. I said that, but I've maintained it will break 1 billion, which I think it's on its way to. What do you say?
Yeah, over 800 million now. I think that's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Anybody else want to make a prediction or?
It's falling behind. I think that it's probably going to reach 1 billion, but it's going to limp across, and it's going to take a while.
That's where I am at too.
Yeah, I think it's going to kind of like do like Rise of Skywalker, which was
Prince of Soybeans,
barely able. Rise of Palpatine. I messed up the title there, but anyway, yeah, it was just barely able to limp across 1 billion, and saw itself beat by the first Joker. That's where I think Minecraft is gonna end up. Still, even to have gotten to 800 million, that's pretty significant. No one here saw that coming.
Nope.
Prior to seeing the hype. Like, yeah, a couple of us, like when I saw my kids and how they reacted to the trailers and how their friends, I was like, okay, fine, this thing is going to be bigger than we think. Even then, I didn't think it was going to be $1 billion thing, and it still may not be, but I think it's going to limp there.
I think it stalls out around 900 something million. I think it won't hit 500 million in the States.
Let's see. It just released this last weekend in Japan.
Okay.
425. South Korea gets it 420 or got it on 426. Mm-hmm. We don't really have numbers from a couple other places like Austria, and we don't have any numbers out of India. So we don't even know what it's earned in those markets, even though it released the same day, April 4th. So, but I think Japan is going to be influential, and I think South Korea is going to be influential.
Do we have those numbers from this weekend?
We don't have those numbers yet.
Okay. Well, I'll wait until it hits 1 billion and let you know if I thought it was going to do that or not. Okay.
Okay, that's fair. Wait until the end. You know,
Yeah.
Look, I feel like that's Paul does that as well. Paul is the best predictor of all.
I like that
He
approach.
waits.
He's a time traveling predictor.
Well,
Yeah.
the beauty
I will
for Minecraft,
till the final amount and then predict it.
the beauty for Minecraft is that it has another 3 weeks before Lilo and Stitch opens up, almost 4.
Yeah, we're coming up on it too, aren't we?
So
Yeah,
it's got that much time yet to hang in there, and it's doing pretty well. So I wouldn't worry too much. This is a big win for Warner Brothers and anybody involved with it.
and they needed it. Man, did they need it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
maybe
they've got
Sony
Sinners
first.
kicking ass too. I mean, Warner Brothers is
Well,
having.
we didn't really
good...
talk about Sinners, did
Yeah,
we?
I mean,
We kind of walked by it. It had an incredible. It only dropped 5% from the first weekend. It had an amazing thing. We kind of walked over it probably because of me. But it's doing very well in the theaters. The only problem is it costs too much. It's going, and I said this, at the beginning of this segment, it's going to be maybe profitable at this point. A $90 million R-rated movie.
Well, it's selling out all the PLF screens and stuff.
Exactly.
That's why.
Yeah, but it's about to lose all the PLFs to Thunderdolts, and
we'll see how that rolls. I wonder how many of those they have contractual and how many of they're just going to be. Yeah, we're just going to stick with
most IMAX exclusives are no more than 2 weeks. So
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But this movie is a bit of a phenomenon because, like you said, we totally jumped over it. It's most likely going to be profitable for the studio and Ryan Coogler. And here's the thing. This is the kind of movie that Hollywood used to make, that it's okay that it has a little bit bigger budget because guess what? It used to make its money back on video.
Yeah.
See, that's where I'm curious how this is going to be when it leaves theaters, is because I saw that this thing's already coming out on video on demand May 20th.
And then it's going to die, and that's a problem.
But I'm starting to wonder if that wasn't part of the deal they made with Coogler and why he gets the rights to the movie back in 25 years. Because that was the other thing everybody was talking about last week. Mm-hmm. So, but no, I'm good for the film. It's doing very, very well for Warner Brothers right now. Between that and Minecraft, they're doing great. So I don't know if anybody wants to say anything about Sinners before we move on, but that was
great achievement as well. Certainly at the box office, I haven't seen the movie, but theatrically or box office wise, a great achievement.
I loved the movie the first time I saw it when it was called From Dusk Till Dawn.
Tom Cruise was out promoting it this weekend as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So stay till the end.
He must be getting nervous about
yeah, well, he's hoping he's paying it forward.
He fucking should be. And look, it's nothing against the movie, guys. I just see this movie being a bigger uphill battle than the last movie was, even though the last movie had more movies to contend with. They decided to make this movie almost 3 fucking hours long.
Too long. Yep. And that means the turnover time is going to be
horrible.
Yeah.
You get almost 2 showings of Lilo and Stitch in the time of 1 showing of Mission Impossible.
Lilo and Stitch comes in at an hour and 40
minutes. Yep.
Yeah. And the 351, 251 for Mission Impossible 2, is that right?
That's what I saw, 250, yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, I mean, yeah, you're right. You won't get as many showings. You won't make as much money on the PLFs compared to Lilo and Stitch.
When people hear it's almost 3 hours long, it's going to detour them from the theater.
Well, that's the thing. As you get older, Paul, I have to plan bathrooms.
And here's something Script and I have talked about many times is they need to start regulating the running times of some of these films. It's like, okay, you got a 3-hour movie here. Your first movie was 1 hour and 45 minutes. There's nothing to justify you having a 3-hour sequel. It just shouldn't be that way. If you need 3 movies to tell the story, use 3 movies. Wrap it up. Exactly. like, what more important have you not told us yet about this franchise? 9 movies in.
You let your lover get killed. Now you're going to have to go love on the chick with the weird hair that's going to be Mary Sue, literally, in the Fantastic Four. We really have a Mary Sue. Like that, you cannot do Disney. You could not have made it more plain to the world what's going to happen in Fantastic Four. Anyway,
That's another one. Yeah, but Grimzilla is. Go ahead, Culture.
No, I was just going to say. So to wrap that up, we're losing out on a whole other showing of a movie because this one's just too long, and it's going to hurt Tom in the long run. And it's
not this Tom, the other Tom.
Yeah, the reason it's paying it, he's paying it forward right now to Sinners is because he's now on Team Warner Brothers. He's no longer.
That's
Team
right.
Paramount.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we have Paulie joining us. Speaking of teams, how you doing?
Hey, what is this handsome guy? See, he's too pretty, and he's not wearing a hat. Where's your hat?
Pedro in the house.
Yeah, you can cast it as Pedro Pascal, by the way.
What happened?
Pedro Pascal is going to play you in the movie about your life.
Oh, Pedro's going to play?
I don't know. You think you could get him to wear something as masculine as a Dodgers baseball cap?
Careful. Wow. How are you guys doing?
What a way to start the morning here.
I haven't had enough coffee yet.
Right. So what's hanging?
We're just finishing up the box office. We're just getting back into super chats.
Okay,
Grimzilla says, and yet they can't get rid of KK. I refuse to believe she's that good at giving favors or whatever to save her job this many times. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, because she came out again and said that she's not leaving. Did you see that, Andre?
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't read it in details because we know that she's going to leave when she's good and ready to leave. And she's going to leave when she feels that now I can get away without anyone claiming, called it. I'm sure she would have been gone already were it not for that story in Puck about that she was leaving. I'm convinced that she changed her plans because of that. And now it's like, I should have quit already, but now I have to stay a little bit longer. That's what I was thinking.
I feel like her and Bob are in competition for who can drag their individual thing down the most before they leave. So can Iger drag Disney down below the Mason-Dixon line in the stocks, or can Kathleen Kennedy destroy the entire fandom before she leaves? Whoever wins there, it's that kind of power struggle. Cool.
Yeah, I don't see her leaving until she's ready, like we said.
Wait, I thought she was leaving in August. Isn't that?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Now, Paulie, did you see the Thunderbolts yet? Or is that tonight?
That is tonight.
Yay!
The social embargo you can do now, but then in the morning, I think I'm just gonna go live in the morning. That way I can just,
Cool.
Yeah. So it's just me. Rosa saw last week. We put that one up. But yeah, I'm gonna go to the Grove tonight, 7 p.m. And last weekend I saw Accountant 2. I saw Revenge of the Sith, and then last week I saw Sinners on 70 millimeter IMAX.
Paulie, real quick for everybody here, because I've already given my opinion, done a review of Accountant 2. Did you think it was as good, if not better, than the first one?
Way better.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, what's funny is that it's so good and it's got a message, but it doesn't get it's like it's like a throwback. You get a little message in there, but it's all about kicking some ass.
I think the brothers' story is the most compelling thing there, and I think that was what the movie was made for. I think it was well done.
Oh man, there's a lot to love about this cast, and the Barenthal Affleck chemistry was just when they go to that honky tonk.
I know, that was so great. It was so great,
dude. And he got the number from that chick. That chick was gorgeous.
Yeah, he put his hand up. That's amazing.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Really
no,
good stuff.
So I actually did something you won't believe, Paul. You want to hear it?
You didn't stream on a day.
I didn't stream yesterday.
Wow. Pretty good.
Anyway, real quick, I actually praised Daniela Pineda.
Oh,
because she did great in that role in Accountant 2.
Yeah, the redemptive year of Daniela Pineda. We're going to talk about that today on the Post Edge.
There you go.
Yeah, because
although she's having a bit of revisionist history about Cowboy Bebop, but yeah.
What you're saying now?
It's a lot deeper than that as far as what she's personally been through, and
probably, but like what she was saying about that though, she completely left out her comments about what she actually said. She played it off like she was saying it to the trolls, not the fans, and she respects the fans, and she realizes how some people may have took that the wrong way. But I'm like, that's great that you're half-assed apologizing, but you're completely jumping over the part where you basically called all the fans a bunch of perverts for wanting to see their character look like she was in the original film, and you were griping about things being up your crevices. At which point, everybody posted pictures of you with things that you're wearing that are going up your crevices.
Or less things.
Exactly my point. But like, again, I'm glad that she came out and acknowledged it, but it was almost like revisionist history, because like you completely forgot what set the whole thing off, didn't you? She didn't
and I should say,
that subject.
those pictures of her is part of Tom's collection.
Personal.
Have you seen those?
Right. So yeah, the latest her commenting on that is in line with what you said 2 years ago and the year before that. So it's not revisionist. She's actually said the same thing. She did, and she it's just a bad joke that didn't land, and she wanted to refer to trolls. But listen, there's other things too as far as what she's been through this past year on a personal level. And when we talk about that, but also is that this is a great character. It's a great written character that
Yeah.
she plays in Accountant 2, right, Culture?
Well, I thought she really brought it, dude, and that's why. So I even praised her in my review, which I didn't.
Wow.
I thought she was really good. I think she played a very compelling character, and the two girls didn't try to outmuscle each other in their fight scene. I really appreciated that.
Correct.
Close fight scene was great.
And that actress, she's in the Rings of Power, the black actress, right?
Oh, the one that plays
She's the race swap in the Rings of Power, which was a terrible
The
casting.
dwarf.
She
No.
she's like the queen, remember?
She's
And
the
then all of a
queen, yeah.
sudden-
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
She's in Accountant 2. She's
yeah,
she
and
plays
what's great is it was great is Paulie, and this is something I was trying to convey to Tom. She actually talks about not feeling like she wasn't given the job. Remember?
Oh, in the first
About
one?
the chair, the whole
The chair bit?
storyline.
Bro,
Yeah.
I mean, every bit that was working in Accountant 2, like it paid
Yeah.
off. Yeah,
It did. It was really good. Well
It was
done.
really good. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Nobody here knew what you guys were talking about.
What do you mean?
Good.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Non-spoilers.
What did Rosa think of Thunderbolts? What was her reaction?
Reaction was pretty decent. I'm trying to remember. It's up. 'cause
She
it was
also
an
liked
audio.
Snow White, if I recall. Is that right?
Oh, be nice.
Why
No, I
did-
think
No, she also liked King of Kings. I think she
I
likes
think-
a lot of movies.
I think
That's
most
what I
people
think.
are going to enjoy this movie, but I think the problem with this movie is it's 10 years too late.
I know.
Had they released
I
a
know
movie
what's
like
going
this on
why
the
Chris threw
heels,
that. I know why Chris just threw that dagger
me.
at me.
Yeah,
So
tell
do
me.
I.
Tell me.
Chris was on the live show 2 weeks ago on the Slant, and we were reading one of his articles. And whoever runs his website, I'll respect, but they don't know how to spell English.
Oh no, they do. It's terrible.
I corrected.
It's the worst.
Chris.
It's the worst.
This is a
Oh,
big
man.
problem. It's not
Well, I was
just there, but across the board.
It's proof that we don't use AI writers. So there is that. No, I was just thinking, Rosa seems very kind in all of her reviews. She liked Snow White. She liked King of Kings. She like
Sound of Freedom, and she got a lot of shit for it 2 years ago.
What?
That's true. But what I mean is, I think she's inclined to like movies that she goes to see.
What-
She might not be a harsh reviewer, is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Somebody went
and
after her for Sound of Freedom?
yeah,
well,
and to be
of course.
fair, I
You and
didn't
Travis.
like Snow White, obviously, and we
Yeah.
both have those reviews on our page.
Yeah.
But
you haven't seen Thunderbolts yet.
that's tonight.
Tonight.
Yep, okay.
That's tonight.
Paulie, I may just drive down there and join you.
It's invite only. Sorry, press
Oops.
only.
Oh,
well,
all right,
what I was
Thanks.
saying was I think the Thunderbolts would have done a lot better had they released it closer to, and I mean, obviously it would, but I mean, closer to Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's what it feels like this should be, is the counter to that, right? It feels like it's their Suicide Squad, it's their answer to that, but it's also the Guardians of the Galaxy, only it's the bad guys, or the not
Well,
so good guys.
Yeah,
Really.
they're not really bad guys. They've all
They're
had
not
their
really, they're
redemption.
not so good guys, basically.
Yeah,
is what I would
almost
say,
every
yeah.
character in this movie has had their own redemption arc already in their previous outing. So calling them the bad guys is kind of. Anyway, I got my ticket for
Fair.
Thursday night, and
Cool.
we'll see. I'll see how it goes.
I'm thinking about it. I'm to the point where I'm like, is it even matter? Does anybody care? Like, I really don't know if I think most people that go see this movie are going to be reviewers. I'm not kidding. Like, I don't really see any interest in this movie from the general public.
Yeah, there's a very tangible feel to the lack of interest in this. There's no buzz, there's no hype. It's palpable. Normally, if somebody's excited, it's palpable. It's reflected well, not just in social media, but elsewhere. And you're going to have the artificial, social media.
More people are
judgment
talking
out
about
of-
crypto still. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
It's palpable, teen.
palpable
Oy.
tea.
Yeah. I just don't. You just can't get behind something like this. And the artificial blow up's going to show up like from places like Relish Mix and Parrot Analytics and stuff like that. But you're gonna end up with this film doing far less than it should have, mostly because of the deterioration of the brand, not maybe necessarily because of the quality of the film. So I think
Marvel
a
should
lot
be
of
worried
regard-
about the Avengers next.
Well,
Yeah, I tell you what, there was an article dropped in Deadline this morning Russell Wyatt was trying to hype Doomsday and saying that he had a virtual knife to his throat. So, that he wasn't allowed
they
to
start filming today, don't they, for this movie that
drop
comes out
any
a year from
spoilers.
now? I think I just read somewhere where the
Yes,
filming starts
they
today.
did announce a start of production right now. They sent out like a tweet of like Robert Downey Jr.'s chair as Doom and stuff.
Yeah, they got 1 year to get it out. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, they actually do have a really quick turnaround time. I mean, there's some other movies where there has been like less than a year from start of filming till release date, and somehow they've always been able to manage it. But of course, that means a very expensive post-production, and that's gonna come and bite them in the ass for Avengers Doomsday after every single lead-up film, certainly the most recent ones, are gonna flop, because I think that probably Thunderbolts is going to be the best received. But I don't think it's going to do very well, because as you guys are saying, there's zero hype for it. None.
I agree on the zero hype. I think it's a good time in general to go to the movies. I think Minecraft kind of like brought a lot of the general audience back. It's a good time. It's going into summer, so you never no. I agree. There's no talk about it, as far as the general audience. But it is a movie going time, so maybe is it PG or
PG-13.
Well, it's PG-13, isn't it? Like everything.
I was more excited until I started hearing that it's about the characters dealing with trauma, and I was like, "Oh, come on! I don't want to see superheroes dealing with trauma. I want to see them, especially if they're anti-heroes. I want to see them out there kicking ass. Come on!"
You know what? I really feel like we now make movies like TikToks, or at least that's what's being done in Hollywood right now. So,
sure.
It has the same depth and narcissism of a TikTok, influencer. It's that, and I think that's why a lot of the older audience is out. Anybody that doesn't have TikTok brain is not necessarily showing up to movies anymore. But that's why I just had a several-minute conversation with a very deep story about Accountant 2 with Paulie, because it had a lot more to it. That's not a TikTok brain movie, as we've got so much these days. Anyway, I have to step out, gentlemen. I didn't realize how late it was. I just wanted to say thank you. I hope you all enjoy your movie-going experiences, and congratulations to the box office for staying over 100 million. We need that.
Yeah, take care, Culture. And speaking of
Good to see you, Culture.
did you guys
Hi,
hear about
Culture.
this? Supposedly the movie has a 27-minute therapy session scene.
Yes.
What
is this?
Thunderbolt?
Yeah, is this like in one sitting, or is this like throughout the entire film and it's just the framework of the movie? That was my question. Because
I mean, from
Love it.
from my source, who I saw Sinners with last week, Trauma Bolts. That's good. Is that Scribe? Scribe?
Yeah, that's me.
I knew it. Is that this is the best Marvel film in quite a while, and
Which is damning with faint praise, I think. But we'll see.
Well,
I
yeah.
guess.
So
that doesn't mean much, unfortunately. Now, yeah.
Well,
Better
No,
than
I get what
Eternals.
you're saying, but it's like,
I mean,
when we were.
this is
better
the same
than the
guy
Marvels. Come on.
This is the same guy who steered us away from Ant-Man, and he's saying that and I shared that information with you, I think, a couple weeks ago, Tom, about Fantastic Four. So, but this one he's the most excited about. So take it for what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I honestly, I can believe it probably is a good film, and I think it's probably watchable. Yeah. In fact, I'm somebody who kind of liked the first 2/3 of Black Widow. The only part I didn't like is where that station is falling for about 45 minutes. It's like, that's not how gravity works. Yeah, it's like, that's not how gravity works. And then anyway, but other than that, I'm like, so I don't mind half these characters. I just see zero interest in this. I don't see a reason for it right now. It doesn't really. This feels like it should be a fucking streaming series and not a movie. Well, this does not scream movie to me. That's my point.
Because it's the people starring it are streamer stars, so to speak, right?
Almost all of them, yeah. Almost all, or from flop movies, one of the two.
Or flop shows, flop movies. It's not like you have Scarlett Jo anchoring the film.
Right.
Yeah,
You
You know,
can't tell me-
Sebastian Stan's the only carryover from other films that is really known.
you can't tell me Hellboy 3 was a flop.
I can't.
I
But I
I
can
c-
I can
oh.
tell you that you do need to clip your nose hairs.
You kidding? Listen, when you get to this age, hair grows faster out of other parts of your body than on your head.
It's
You
so
grow
weird.
you grow it wherever you can.
I'm thinking of actually letting the hair grow out of this ear and just doing a comb over it.
That's so gross. Oh my god, bro.
Well, you
It's
started
coming
it.
out of these ears so
I know, I
quickly.
know.
Tom, it might be fun just to do a long rumors show. We're just
Could
talking about
be.
all the freaking rumors.
You know, that
Could
puts a
be.
new spin on the word earwig.
Well, yeah, because you just shared in the back here, and I don't even know how to take this rumor for Superman. Comes from my time to shine, who has got a very spotty track record at best, who claims that in the Superman film, there's a bit where Superman gets depressed because hashtag super shit starts trending. And it turns out that it's coming from a group of mutant monkeys that Lex Luthor has trained, I guess.
Is that for real?
That's what the claim is. I don't buy it.
Superman
No.
versus cancel culture.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Superman versus
That is
cancel
gonna
culture.
be
I don't know. about
terrible.
that.
Please no. Please
I
stop, James
don't
Gunn.
know
Please
about
don't do
that.
it.
That's gonna kill it, man.
I don't know.
You know, he does quickly. Gunn usually comes out pretty quick to debunk rumors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hopefully he'll come
We'll
out
see.
today and say something.
Yeah, I hope so. But anyhow, Scribe, how much longer do you have? I think you said you had a few minutes here. So
I
was gonna let you-
got to drop in a couple of minutes. Yeah.
All right, so you got a couple more minutes. All right.
Yeah.
Jason Webster says the re-release of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, earning $25 million in the U.S., sweetly completes the humiliation of live-action Snow White and Disney. It doesn't look good for them, no.
Well, also too the humiliation of just the awful. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, what Andor, what they've been putting up. I mean, it's just people don't want to see it. People don't want to see that in their Star Wars. You can make all the arguments that you want, like this universe is so big, so far, far away. Bullshit. I went and saw Revenge of the Sith last night, and it was absolutely gorgeous to see on the big screen. Sweeping epic, heroes, bad guys, great acting. Oh my god, I forgot how Natalie Portman just brought it. And then I was completely pissed off and embarrassed this past week with Andor making a freaking undocumented female the point of the story with the Empire and Grape.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that whole thing. I don't even think we've even really discussed this yet. I'm
Okay.
surprised it didn't make it into our recent Star Wars video. No, I'm kind of glad you brought it up.
I'll just
Because it's not even something we normally would have brought up in the first place, I don't think, just because of the subject matter. But it has completely taken over the conversation now when it comes to Star Wars. Because so what Polly's talking about is the scene in the show, like I haven't seen it, so correct me if I say something wrong. There's a scene in the show where one of the characters, who is an illegal migrant, gets accosted or assaulted by an Imperial officer. And then brings it up later. Now, again, the problem a lot of people are having is that sexual situations were kind of few and far and in between when it comes to Star Wars. In fact, they were pretty innocent in a lot of ways, or more like classic. I forgot how it was put last night. It was put very well by Saturday night by Steph or whoever it was that was talking that we were talking about. But I forgot how, or Sarah. It was not Steph. It was Anna. But I forgot how she termed it. But it's basically like how, when the prince and Cinderella get together. That's kind of how Star Wars was before.
Softly romantic.
Softly romantic. That's
Yeah,
kind
like
of it was something along those
like
lines.
Jabba
yeah.
the Hutt and Princess Leia. That's
Yeah,
Well, no,
exactly.
I hate that example too, because that was the thing we got into a big debate about. Because I was like,
Sure.
okay, unless
That's
you
a
read the
lazy
book,
argument. That's a lazy
yeah, because
I
argument.
unless
agree.
you read the
I had to
book, you
put it
have
out
no
there.
idea that he has a human fetish. And I honestly never once thought about him wanting to fuck her.
Me
The only
either.
reason I thought that he had Leia there on a leash is because he's got a
Humiliate.
princess on a leash.
Yep.
It's a trophy. Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's my argument, Tom. Okay, hear me out. Can you have this? Can you like it? Absolutely. And absolutely, it's more digestible as television, as whatever it is you want to be. But you have to come correct with the escapism part of Star Wars. The escapism part of Star Wars has been shit for over 10 years.
Right.
Right? So when you get that year after year, I get it, year after year after year, then you get it's a decent vision of Andor, but then you have that scene. Man, people don't want to see that shit.
Well,
Because they haven't been fed what they've been. You know what? You actually did the opposite. I'm sorry. You did the opposite. You did shitty Star Wars, then you deconstructed all the heroes that we grew up with.
yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen when we watch Revenge of the Sith? We're going to go out there in droves and watch Star Wars on the big screen. Okay, I'm done.
No, you're 100% right. And in fact, I'll compare this because you're right. Because the biggest problem is we wouldn't be caring about this, or this wouldn't even be an issue, because it's not like this stuff doesn't technically exist in the EU.
Yeah.
But the difference is you have to seek it out, right? Because most people don't even know that Shmi Skywalker was sexually assaulted by the Tusken Raiders. You don't know that unless you read the Attack of the Clone novels. Because guess what? It's not really all that important on screen.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you can separate these things. Paulie's right. If we were getting good Star Wars for the family on one end, you could have Andor over here as its also ran thing where it is more adult Star Wars, and nobody would have a problem with that. I'll give you a great example of that. The legendary Godzilla Kong series. Guess what? You've got the movies, which are geared towards the kids and the family, which are a bunch of rock'em sock'em robots. But then you go over to Apple and you watch the Monarch series. Guess what? There ain't no kid that's going to sit through that series because it's a bunch of shit for adults. And they figured that part out. It's like you have this series over here on the side that doesn't really affect the films, but the films affect it, and the adults can get into it, and you get to know all the minutia and the ins and out of Monarch that don't bog down the films now.
But the main issue is, why is this the only thing we're talking about with regards to the first 3 episodes?
Because
That's
they all
the
suck.
problem.
That's the problem.
That's
Yeah.
the problem. Is that
Yes.
I can actually see that happening with packaged around an adventure, and it's classic to put a female at dire risk.
Sure.
That's not an unusual situation. People feel very strongly about that. It's a trope. But when it's, compared to the wedding sequence where, the bride is pissed off because the potential husband wasn't going to hold her hand, and there's a whole scene about that. And I'm going, what the hell do I need?
Yeah.
Boy,
But the other problem,
they stretch that out, man.
They
Oh my
sure
god.
the other thing too is that you can
that's-
infer atrocity without actually having to show it, and still keep
That's
the
the other
tempo
thing, yeah.
of adventure, because
Which
the
is
adults
way
can
more
infer.
powerful. Which
Yeah,
is way more
you can
powerful in
you
storytelling.
can like Tom said about Shmi Skywalker. You see her completely all beaten up and everything, and other things, and you could infer something pretty bad has happened to her without having to have the character come out and say it explicitly, because you've gotten the idea across to the adults who can interpret that without also sort of like traumatizing potential children that might be watching because it's Star Wars, and move the story along.
You said something really really interesting, Paul, is that why are we focused on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Star Wars and the media backing it up has chosen to.
Yeah, that's right. Variety
Right?
did a whole article about it.
Article after article.
Yep.
This is
Yeah.
historic. We feel so
Yep.
proud.
Yep.
Whereas, was there article after article on Revenge of the Sith coming out for its 20th anniversary? No.
Nope.
No. And it's some people think it's their second, or it's in their top 3 of favorite Star Wars films. This is not like Phantom Menace.
Well, they don't want it to bury Andor. The Disney does not like the original Star Wars at all.
That's
No.
a good point, Paul.
That's the
Like,
point. Yeah.
they'd rather have the Andor thing, and they were ready for this. That article that says like we are all a product of grape, Like that fucking thing was ready to go. Like they knew this was going to happen.
Oh yeah.
They set it up on purpose.
Absolutely,
they kind of kicked
man.
off the conversation, if anything.
Bro, this thing was filmed a year and a half ago, man. They had the
Right.
vision down.
They knew it was
four mini movies, 3 episodes of Pop Chato. That's how they're dropping them. And Gore says that the series gets better as it go along. I was a fan of the season 1. It was slow as it was molasses, but it picked up towards the end. People are saying, "Oh, you just don't get Andor in the chat," or you. That's not the argument here, guys. That's not the argument. The argument is that you should be a caretaker of what's sacred to the fans first. Then you can do all that other stuff. It allows you to have your HBO at night Star Wars. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, the pattern was Skeleton Crew was for the kids, and then here we are with Andor 2 for the grown-ups. But you're right. The studio and the media made this the story. You could have had this sort of assault in any of the shows. They sort of added a little bit of pepper on it, making it an undocumented migrant, so that they wanted to elevate that story a little bit. And it's their fault. It's a shame. Our reviewer over at Bleeding Fool, Shark of Paper, enjoyed it. He enjoyed season 1. He enjoyed these first 3 episodes. He gives a passing mention of this, and we posted that before the media was already making hay about that issue, and that's where the conversation went. He was even surprised. He had posted the review, and he said, "Hey, should I go back in and make some more mention about this? That seems to be what the entire story, everybody in the media is talking about this scene." And I said, "No." I said, "Just leave it. This is your review. That's all we care about. So don't worry about it." So,
well, no one's talking about the final solution of the people with that mineral that they're going to wipe out.
Oh, good point.
Well, we need to let Scribe have. We need to let Scribe have his outro here,
because it went like that. The story plot points you're making sense, but like.
As soon as Paul described the scene, I knew exactly what it was a reference to. Because he started talking about it the other day. He's like, "Oh yeah, the secret meeting between the Imperials deciding how to get rid of this whole peoples without having it muddy the waters with their PR." Like, like the Wannsee conference. Like, what? But anyway, yes, I have to split about 2 hours, just a little bit under now.
Wannsee, I'm not familiar with. Coachella, I am.
Okay, well, yes, that's true. It is the modern day. It's the modern remake.
Modern remake.
So in about 2 hours, I'll have my next episode of DEI Death Watch. A lot of stuff going on today. We got the Los Angeles Fire Department purportedly getting rid of their DEI bureau, but are they? And also the Attorney General of Michigan is saying that there's nothing to look for in schools when it comes to equity or anything else, and it's all just a fantasy. Which
really? Oh yeah.
It'll be
gaslighting right there.
Yeah. After 9 years of covering stuff in education, I can't wait to read what her argument is. But
there is some hint or some news story came out that the crash between the airline and the helicopter,
yes,
actually might have a DEI connection. I'm not going to make that.
So the orange man was right then, because he was the first one to came out to say that.
We have to be careful that we don't jump on all the right-wing conspiracies.
Obviously. I just like it's like funny when they come like true, because he was the first one to came out and say there's a DEI component to it, and that was mocked and laughed and ridiculed, and the media was horrified. And now a few months later, I haven't looked into this. Now you're saying there may have been.
You're saying it could very well be.
Yeah, you have to be wary that just because, and this is, we've seen this in other stories too, where it's like, just because a woman did something or someone who's not white did something does not inherently indicate that DEI was involved. But it's all about how did the progression take place, what standards were they held to, and so on as compared to the past. That takes a little bit more investigation. So anyway, I'll be covering stuff like that.
In the good old days, we would have just said it's an incompetent woman, and everyone would go, "Oh yeah, right."
Those were the days.
I remember those days.
Oh, man.
Anyway, everybody have a good rest of your Monday. Nice to talk to you. Polly, Paul, Chris, Tom, Andre, and of course, Culture now departed. And I'll see you guys in a couple hours, and have a good rest of Monday.
Later,
Take
brother.
care.
Bye, guys.
All right,
never
let's
liked
keep moving here. We got Mr. Godzilla's, who's granted it's the 70th anniversary last year. Apparently yesterday, 4/27, was when the original Gojira was released in Japan back in 1954. Go Godzilla. Well, it'd be the 70th anniversary for this year, I believe. It was released in the U.S., if I'm not mistaken. Or was it 56? 56, I can't remember. Ultimate Metal Ever says, you know what would be funny is if Thunderbolts makes less money than Black Widow. Well, Black Widow, yeah, it was released simultaneously too, wasn't it?
No, actually, that one was Black Widow. I believe was the first. Was one of the first that actually did get a theatrical exclusive release for a little while there.
I didn't. No, I don't think so.
No. Maybe it was like it
was a day and date release because I remember
Well,
watching
you're
it at
right.
home.
That would be a complete
Yep.
and total disaster for them if this did Black Widow numbers. But it is.
It was
a
the one
Black
after
Widow.
that.
Scarlet sued.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Actually,
I was just
that's
going
a
to say
problem.
yes. Remember? Yeah, Scarlet sued. Remember? Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and this, of course, is the issue. It's a sequel to Black Widow and to Captain
Falcon,
and the Winter Soldier. Yeah,
Winter Soldier, and
so another homework the movie situation.
that's the thing. And although even they can pull it off without it having been homework the movie, but the problem is there's a couple of characters, especially Florence Pugh, who's kind of the central role, that I do agree with you. Like, I feel like that's one specifically you have to have probably seen Black Widow at least. You could possibly get it, but then you're still stuck with, like, I don't know anything about that other Captain America guy.
Well,
right?
you had to watch Falcon and
Russell's
Winter
kid.
Soldier.
Exactly.
Yeah. This
so
is
is
a
it
homework
important?
movie.
I don't know. That's the question, I guess, to
Point.
pose to people like Rosa and Paulie when they see the film.
Well, it's kind of like the normies who maybe they have seen some of the Marvel movies. They're not going to know any of these characters.
No, and I think that's what's turning a lot of the audience off. I'm almost convinced at this point because the pattern is clear. You see the pattern come in, and we've said it a million times. The moment things went off the rails, regardless of woke or not, MCU or not, was when people went to see Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and instead of it being a sequel to Doctor Strange or the follow-up to No Way Home, it's a fucking sequel to WandaVision, a show that very few people fucking watched in the grand scheme of things, if you think about it. Because I had, 2 million, 3 million people watching it, maybe at its peak. Because that was early Disney Plus on top of it all. And maybe it's amassed 4 or 5 million people since then, but that's still not enough to really get people interested in a sequel to it. And that's a huge issue with all these things here. And I think it's going to be a problem going forward with like the Avenger films too. The Fantastic Four might be the only exception just because it's not so reliant on previous things. But
it's going to be another Meteor Man, I think, for a lot of people. They're just going to be like, I don't know what that is.
Could be. Maravita, if I'm saying that right, sends in $4.99, says we don't have an industry anymore, entertainment industry anymore. We have a movie-based brainwashing attempt industry. You're not wholly wrong there, but yeah, that's one way of putting it. It's almost as bad as I wish they would just get back to the McDonaldization. Jason Webster says, I need to see Thunderbolts 2025. I need to buy shares in Tesla. Well, you never know. Jason Webster says, coming soon, Congo 2. Ape shit hits the fans. Yes.
Buy the dip. I'll just say that. That's not investment.
I was about to say, like, no one is giving investment advice here, but I think, yeah, I'm not going to give advice. But if I had the option of buying Disney shares or Tesla shares right now, and we leave it at that.
Yes.
Because we're not financial advisors here.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll leave that.
I can't even buy milk right now. So,
oh.
After almost 20 years of being on YouTube, Pack and Proton says finally decided to turn on channel memberships and super chats. So if anyone wants to help support, most appreciated. Have some fun reward ideas planned. And yeah, Pack and Protons is always doing cool stuff, showing me his animations and whatnot. Pack and Proton says, will Sadie end the show today? Sit, boo boo, sit. Good dog. That we'll see. Pack and Proton says Polly's intro music should be the Oyster Bar theme. Well, I mean, I do have that handy.
What?
Proctor! What happened, sir?
I like to dance, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's your theme song, I guess, if Pedro Pascal.
I guess
plays
so.
it.
So every time I come on, we have to play that. Here, take me out.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Polly. It's like more calypso, though, isn't it? That's like a.
No, that's not
Enjoyed that.
calypso.
Doom, 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 doom.
Thank
No, what
you,
is
Polly.
that? It's
Doom, doom.
It's like samba.
tango, samba. Okay,
Tango.
samba. Yeah,
It's not
you're right,
tango.
Samba. Yeah, samba. Yeah.
It's not samba. It check your generic Caribbean beat. It's cool. There you go.
Okay. Grimzilla says Daniela was humbled being saved by her Trump supporter neighbors from the fires. Really humbled her. Interesting. I didn't know that.
She lived
Yep.
in Palisades.
It's a story.
Yeah, okay.
She lived in Altadena.
Okay.
Hyperguyver 2
She lost
says
everything.
there's absolutely no defending Daniel Pineda. She attacked the fans straight up. It wasn't a joke. We don't forget, nor do we forget.
Oh, you
well,
should.
I don't believe
He's
we
not a
should
neighbor.
Forgive.
He doesn't live nearby.
True. But that's your call, and but I always think that we should try to find some way to forgive
Cha-cha.
people.
That's it.
Cha-cha, is that what we call it?
That's what it is. Thank you, Joe.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Joe.
Slow, quick, slow.
Cannon Barnes says just wanted to put it in that myself and many consider Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars film. Yeah, certain people of a certain age, I can see that. Like you're totally
Yeah.
right. Like we were kind of discussing that a little bit. Like, because I mean, Andre kind of hinted at it, but didn't go too deep into it. But at the time when Revenge of the Sith came out, it wasn't the biggest opening for the Star Wars films. It did okay. It did really, really well. And when it was all said and done, it did well at the box office, but it took a little bit for word of mouth to get some of the original fans back because Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones turned some people off. Not a lot, but some people off.
So my recommendation for anyone watching the prequels, find a copy of the Phantom Edit, watch that. Watch only the second half of Attack of the Clones, because that gets really good.
Yep.
And watch all of Revenge of the Sith. There's my recommendation.
And here's how I knew the difference then was I went to see Phantom Menace, packed theater. I went to see Attack of the Clones in the Orpheum in Madison, which is not even an actual theater. It's a concert hall or whatever you want to call it. And there was like 2,500 Star Wars fans there, over 2,000 fans. And that was huge. But then when I went to see Revenge of the Sith, it was like me and my family and like a couple other people in the theater. It was like really sad.
He did blow it. George did take it down a bad path. But it is a good movie. It's the best of the three.
It is the best of the three. Well, and I love his interview where he's like, I kind of screwed up. I did like 5 minutes of story in Phantom Menace and 5 minutes of story in Attack of the Clones. Then I get to Revenge of the Sith and I realize, crap, I got like 5 hours of story to tell and only 2 hours to do it in. It's like, yeah, you should have started there instead of when he was a little kid. But
never hire Jake Lloyd.
Yeah. But no, there is a whole generation that I'm not surprised that they would consider this their favorite Star Wars film. And the prequels managed to do what the original Star Wars films did and bring in a new generation of fans at the same time. So, and Chris is back. Thank you for that, for returning. And with that, I think we maybe had one or two more stories, but otherwise I think we're going to wrap things up here. What else did you want to touch on, Andre?
I don't know that we have one or two more stories.
Well, there was kind of the 60-minute story that I did find quite interesting.
Well, let's run it.
I know it's not something we normally get into, but I know even Paul might find this interesting, or something for his appalling news, maybe even. So you might want to pay attention. Because recently the head of 60 Minutes stepped down. I don't know if you heard about this. In fact, I don't want to play this whole clip, but I guess we might almost have to just so you kind of understand. But the gist of it is, and I'll try and jump through it here till the midpoint, is he comes out and he talks about their.
In tonight's Last Minute, a note on Bill Owens, who until this past week was executive producer of 60 Minutes. He was our boss. Bill was with CBS News nearly 40 years, 26 years at 60 Minutes. He covered the world, covered combat, the White House. His was a quest to open minds, not close them. If you've ever worked hard for a boss because you admired him, then you understand what we've enjoyed here. Bill resigned Tuesday. It was hard on him and hard on us, but he did it for us and you. Stories we pursued for 57 years are often controversial. Lately, the Israel-Gaza war and the Trump administration. Bill made sure they were accurate and fair. He was tough that way. But our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger. The Trump administration must approve it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways.
Now, note, he said Paramount. Okay, and this is part of the reason why I brought this up, because the Paramount merger and all that stuff is something we talk about. So this is why this guy supposedly quit. Okay, so keep that in mind, because it gets good.
None of our stories has been blocked, but Bill
Wait, what?
felt
Say that
he
again?
lost- but
None of your stories
Bill
has been
felt
blocked.
He lost the
Been
independence
blocked.
that honest journalism requires. No one here is happy about it, but in resigning,
So he basically quit for no
Bill
good fucking
proved
reason.
One thing: he was the right person to lead 60 Minutes all along.
So I really wanted Paul's
Wow.
reaction to that more than anybody's.
Wow.
But yeah.
Okay, so number one, inside baseball, no one gives a fuck.
Right?
Number one. Number two, this is a petty attack on, it's a petty political attack that has nothing to do with the mandate of 60 Minutes, as I've known it for the decades I've watched it. Clearly, they are really shook up by the last few installments that they had to fix. For instance, that crazy one with what's her name?
Kamala.
Kamala. That was a complete sham. And
Yeah, I was going to say they had more regulation, it seemed like, with them than they did now. But go ahead. Sorry, Paul.
Well, no, my point is that they have been, what do you call, holding water for all sorts of non-nuanced political voices within CBS, and it got more and more obvious over the last few years. And with the combination of the Trump administration getting in and also the Gaza war, CBS really showed its colors. And no one should be, and notwithstanding the fact that internally they might be pissed off, like I said at the beginning of this, this is their dirty laundry. They've got nothing to do with the merger. They're not going to be able to hold anyone to task for it. They're not making the business decisions as to just what's going on. This is a laughable presentation by this guy.
Yeah, because to me it comes off more like you just said, they fucked up enough times in the last couple of years or so that Paramount's like, okay, we need to keep a tighter leash on these motherfuckers. Like, I think that's more what it was. But none of their stories had been altered or changed. That's what he said. So it's not like they'd even had actually told him or said that he had to change or not do anything. That's the thing that I found is hilarious, is that it's a big victimhood show for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just whining. Scott Pelley is whining. He's probably one of the biggest Trump haters on the air. Yeah. And he's clinging to this fantasy that 60 Minutes is all about air reporting. Sorry, 60 Minutes. It's time for a shakeup. And it's probably related to how you've treated this administration. There's no doubt. And maybe Paramount is trying to tighten things up because of the merger. But they wouldn't have to do anything with 60 Minutes if he had been acting as a fair arbiter this whole time. And they haven't. It's simple as that.
It's a petulant response. We get to see under the hood of what everybody is thinking there at 60 Minutes. It's let's call it the adult version of the Rachel Ziegler screed.
Okay. Well, you saying it's inside baseball is so on the nose. Nobody cares, about the executive producer at 60 Minutes. No viewer cares. They might not have even recognized his name, for crying out loud.
Well, the funny thing is an old white dude.
Yeah, exactly.
A very old white dude.
Yeah. Just like Scott Pelley.
Yeah, they could have had 5 turnovers in the last 10 years and none of us would care. We only
Yes.
care about the on-air
Right.
product.
Did he
Who
come out
cares?
and did
This
he
is not a
lament
story.
any other firings that have happened in the last 10 years? Has he come out and said the same thing about every other person that lost their job there?
Yeah, or somebody who didn't get the vax or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Leslie
But
Stahl
anyway.
has been really bad of late.
Oh my gosh. It's a culture over there, though. You know that.
I thought
Well,
you'd get a
the
kick
level
out
of
of that one,
arrogance
Paul.
in news. I've seen it. I mean, at the CBC here in Canada, when I was working for the CBC, really we were a news network that kind of did entertainment on the side. There was nothing more important than CBC News. And,
Hey,
and we resented it.
It's an important day in Canada. Maybe you should give your fellow Canadians some instruction before we close out.
Vote early, vote often.
Okay.
Well, I just thought that'd be a good candidate for some appalling news since it was so appalling.
It's you know what? I got to find that clip or send me a link to that.
It's out there.
It's in the background here, and I'll send it to you in email if you need me to. But if you don't grab it from here, because you might have come in later, so I'll reshare it. Other than that, we got a couple more super chats to go, and I wanted to get Andre's response to that too, just from the outsider point of view, outside the U.S.
Well, I really don't have anything to add to it. To me, it's a case of a newsroom giving themselves and their importance way too much credit.
Yep.
It is them thinking that they are something that they're not. It is them in a way living in the past, thinking that we are the news. We shape the world.
Do you think it has less to do with the merger than it does to do with them fucking up so much the last?
No, I think it's both. I think because of the merger, there is now light on how much they have been fucking up. Because if there was light on them fucking up before, they wouldn't need the merger. The merger is coming because stuff like this has been allowed to slide at all levels, and that's no longer the case. And that's because of the merger. Now you have someone watching. Now you have to impress the new bosses, and you suddenly have to go through all kinds of legal hoops to get the administrator to get the merger through. And now suddenly you have someone that's going to care about your political bias. So all of these things are factors, I think.
Yeah, they like sniffing their own farts.
Oh, very much so.
Anybody else got anything to say about that before we go back into super chats and get on here?
I think I ended this quite eloquently.
I think you did. Jesus Davila sends in $10 and says, I was a kid when Revenge of the Sith came out and wasn't able to see it in theater. There's that aspect too. Having gone to see it yesterday, it was a good experience. I'm glad you got that chance, Jesus.
I'm going back twice. I'm going to see it tomorrow night.
Wow.
And on a prime screen with a buddy. And then I'm going to go to a screening with the sound designer. Like it's going to be on the Fox lot. I don't know how I got invited, but
Cool.
I'm going to go.
Cool.
Go, man. Go.
Yale Osher. Yeah, maybe if they're doing that kind of stuff, maybe they are going to ramp this up for another weekend.
Hey, Happy Gilmore's getting re-released.
I saw that, which is funny because I don't even know if they have any. I don't even know if Universal has anything to do with the sequel, but yeah.
Who knows?
Yale Osher says he's become a member. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say they're producing it, but I don't know if Universal has any play in it at all or not. Detail Devil says 60 Minutes hasn't been good since losing Andy Rooney. Yeah, and that was what, 20 years ago now, 30 years ago? Then he retired and became Paul Chato.
Yeah.
You know what really bugs me? Mr. Tickle Trunk says, right now, Meteor Man is more fun than the MCU. You're not wrong.
Ow.
Meteor Man is a good movie. It's fun, even though Bill Cosby's in it. Yeah, it's been 20 years. I was going to say, it's been a long time since Andy Rooney's been on the show. But with that, let me double check the Rumble side of things, and I think we're kind of wrapped up here. So, Paul, what you got coming up?
I have a fairly long, deep thoughts video, maybe coming up later on today. Just how I'm concerned that YouTube, because you're able to monetize what you're doing, might actually be diverting people of talent from doing the hard work to become performers. not
That's
in
an
the
interesting
music sense, but-
perspective.
Pardon me?
So that's an interesting perspective. I never
So
thought of that.
I've been spending quite a few days mulling over it and wondering, and because there's fewer venues, I'm kind of equating it to an actor who gets a waiter job and is making too much in tips. Not that you make much money on YouTube, and not that YouTube isn't a struggle, but I've got a feeling there's too much talent diverted by that YouTube is diverted. And I recall all the shit that I went through to become a successful entertainer and a member of the Frantics. And you're just not going to get those kinds of stories talking to a camera in your bedroom.
Yeah.
So
I can
anyway,
see you're not doing the
that's
hard
kind of
work.
the gist of where I'm going with this.
No, that's a good point. I never really thought of it that way before.
I try to think of new things.
Yeah.
Well, just keep in mind that many venues and for entry are now closed.
That's my
YouTube is
point.
one
That's
that's
also
still
my
open.
point. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we played at the Nervous Breakdown Coffee House. There were lots of coffee houses in our time, which was kind of a good little opening, spot. The first time Rick and I played at the Nervous Breakdown Coffee House, the only people in it were the 12 lesbian poets who were on after us.
There you
And
go.
they didn't like
They weren't
us.
paying attention.
No, they didn't like us.
Oh,
But we
no,
stuck
how
around
fast.
because even though they hated our act, we were nice enough. We thought they were nice enough to watch us. We'll watch them. But an hour and a half of poetry about vaginas was a bit hard to take.
You took it all, though.
We took it.
He
We did
took it
Oh
all.
my gosh!
He took it
Anyways,
all away,
so,
baby.
you know what? You can't tell those kinds of stories from being in your bedroom, doing YouTube, right?
Unless
So
you
I'm
have an OnlyFans account, maybe. You might-
Unless it's an OnlyFans account. That's right. There you
That's
go.
all we need is a.
I'll see you guys.
Paulie.
OnlyFans.
See
Take
you
care,
guys in a
Paulie.
second. Love
See
you
ya
all.
around the
Bye,
side.
Paulie.
Now.
See ya.
Love
All
you.
right, Chris, what you got going on?
Just back to preparations for the wedding this Friday.
Preparation day.
Keep up with all the latest, or maybe the secondhand stories over on bleedingfool.com, or follow me on X at ChrisBraly. Nothing crazy going on. I think we've been posting the same kind of topics that we've been talking about here today, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about how Rob Liefeld once again showing his anti-Marvel credentials. This is the guy that created a lot of new characters like Cable and Deadpool over at Marvel. He's basically trashing the editors over at Marvel Comics for the way they've mishandled the X-Men. So that's our afternoon story. I think it actually goes live in about 5 minutes at bleedingfool.com, so you can check that out.
And boy, howdy have they.
Oh yeah.
They've done fuck all with them,
It's a
basically.
disaster.
And
done
you
shit.
know what I like the most
Mm.
is when they introduce a huge character on film and stuff like that. They take zero advantage of that in the comics. Like for instance, now 1 year later, they're doing a Deadpool and Wolverine comic. But when Deadpool and Wolverine was out, they killed Deadpool in the comics and
that's right.
replaced him with his daughter.
That's right.
Go figure.
And just last month they revisited a lot of the classic X-Men comics, like the one that introduced the world to the Storm and Wolverine version of the X-Men with X-Men 94. Well, this time they went back and said Miss Marvel was the one who
of
was
course
at the head of the team back then. We are revising our history a little bit and including Miss Marvel
so
in
tiresome.
everything. Oh, it's I don't know what they're doing over there.
But some
but-
historical
Lord knows.
revision among friends.
Nah, I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
But
Retcon
we'll
everything.
have to talk Tina and Bettina.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your opinion. It's such a brilliant movie.
It's good.
It's aged so amazing.
If you find that English dub, let me know.
Oh no,
Uh,
I saw it.
Well,
in
not
the
you.
theater.
I meant Andre. He'll find it. He's more.
I didn't even know there was one. I don't even know.
Now
where
that
to
you know
begin.
it, now that you know it
I've
exists,
been
though,
looking
there's
for
a-
it behind the scenes here. I think the
okay.
best thing you're going to find is the version that I already hooked you up with. But I assure you, the subtitles on it are freaking spot
And
on.
I think that
Well,
one
no,
was
that's
like
fine. It's just-
16 gigabytes, by the way, Andre. I
No,
downloaded it the other day. It's huge.
My issue is I hate watching movies with subtitles because I want to watch the movie. Do you realize it usually takes me twice as long
Yeah,
to watch a
yeah.
movie with subtitles because I'm
Yeah.
backing up to see what's going on while I admit what I missed when I was trying to read.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
It also drives me nuts when people just watch movies all the time with subtitles on, and it's just like, oh my God. Unless you got like a baby and you're trying to keep the volume down, turn them off. It drives me nuts. It's just me. And Packing Protons asked the question of all questions, Chris. Is there any single bridesmaids?
There are a couple, but they have longtime boyfriends. But I will tell you, I probably shouldn't say this. They're all cuties. They really are.
Send them my way, and I'll send Packing Protons.
I'll send you an invite. It's this
Packing
Friday.
Protons, get
4
in line,
p.m.
is what we're saying here.
Come on, I'll send you an invite.
Actually, I'm trying to get a fucking vacation with Mikey. I need one so bad. You have no idea.
There's a few folks coming into town. WDW Pro and some others are going to be in Chattanooga this weekend. Matter of fact, I think Wednesday through the weekend. Don't know if I'll be able to hook up with them though.
Well,
lots to do. Thanks, Packing Protons. I'll take that as a well wish.
There should be some Toxic Femme tonight, most likely. Anything else? We should have a video dropping pretty soon, Andre, right?
Well, I hope so. So waiting for some stuff here, but hopefully before long. Maybe tomorrow.
Hopefully not.
I need to check out that Outrun video. It slipped past me on the algo.
The algo
It slipped
was
past
very mean
everybody.
to it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a few more hits on it after you talked about it today.
Maybe.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, it was a fun game.
Lifestyle brand. What the fuck, Andre?
It's actually an apt description. Honestly, it really kind of is.
Yeah. No, when you think about it, it is. It is.
To me, it's driving cars.
No,
it's driving cars.
You're driving a convertible Ferrari with a hottie,
I
and
get
you
it,
get to pick
but-
the radio station. Come on, it's crazy.
I don't believe you.
I can do that in GTA. And I could kill the hooker afterwards.
And GTA came after Outrun. So come on.
Oh, shit.
And who are we outrunning? Just the clock, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just the clock.
Right. Anyhow, with that, Andre,
it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain. No fucks given, koalas in the rain.